and welcome to the first video tutorial in the Introduction to Ableton course. This week we will focus on creating our own drum sequences, which will provide you with the foundations to start creating your own songs and sounds. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. What you're going to need to do is open your Ableton program, okay, which will open a new set, blank set, okay, and then we need to add the core samples folder that was provided in the week 1 module. So you can download that, unzip it to your computer, and simply over here in Ableton you're going to click add folder and then open core samples. Okay, so that'll appear down here and make it easy to access within Ableton. It's got a collection of different drum sounds as well as loops that we're going to be able to use. Okay, but the first thing we need to do in session view is create a drum rack. Okay, so you can simply click on drum rack there and drag it onto your MIDI track. Okay, we'll just go back to our core samples and we want to start filling up this empty template with drums. Okay, so you can see how drums sound by scrolling through with your mouse or directional pads. If this little icon here is not blue, if it's grey, you won't hear the sounds, but if it's blue, you can hear how things sound. Okay, alright, let's start filling it up. Now, let's throw in a random assortment. I'm gonna sort of do this quite haphazardly, but it will highlight how easy it is, or how simple it can be to create your own drums. Okay, so I'm just gonna fill this up. Maybe I'll put in an open half hat, and then put in some bongos and some something that will give it a percussive texture. Okay, and then in the top row we're going to put in some claps and snares. Okay, maybe one more snare, and then we'll throw in a shaker as well. Okay, so we've got a full drum rack there. As you can see, you can fill a whole drum rack with 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8 times 16, so that's a lot of scope to mix things up and experiment. Okay, but our next task is to double click in one of these rectangular boxes under drum rack, which will create a MIDI clip, as we can see down here. Now if you take your cursor between session view and the clip on this bar here, you can drag up to get a better view of the clip. Okay, now to start off with, just make sure your tempo up here is at 120. Okay, you can type that in or use the cursor to move it up and down. Alright, it's a 4/4 time signature, your standard time signature. And then what we're going to do, we're going to double click and create a kick drum sound there. And we're going to drag it out by highlighting, moving the cursor over the end of that drum and dragging it until it covers 4 notes. Okay, and then by pressing Command D we're duplicating it, and now we've got 4 kick drums which will loop once we play this. Okay, so you can hear that. What we're going to do is we're going to Command C, copy and paste, and then if we use the directional pad you press up and you'll get the same sequence of kicks, and we can move them to different sounds. So if you want another layer of kicks, which I advise you to do so to give it a bit more punch and a bit more thud, you can add in extra kicks. So let's have a listen to this. Okay, let's highlight that so we can hear how things sound. Alright. Okay, I like the sound of that. Okay, so let's roll with that for a start. We're then going to drop in hi-hats on every third note. Okay, so what you can do, we want these to be in the same spot in each bar. Okay, so we go duplicate, Command D, and now we've got the 4 hi-hat sounds in that bar. Okay, what we'll do, we're going to duplicate the length, this entire clip. So if you click in this bar at the top with the arrows pointing either direction, it highlights the whole clip, and then you can simply press Command D and it doubles the length. Okay, we'll add a hi-hat, a different sounding hi-hat at the end there, and let's have a listen. Cool. Alright, so that's nice and basic, but it's a good starting point. Once we start putting in these percussive sounds, we'll start to give it a bit of life. Okay, you don't have to follow any particular sequence here, just pop them in, have a listen, and see how it sounds. Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, so that's quite cool. A driving beat with some bongos and some hi-hats. Very basic, but it's a great starting point. Now let's add in our snares and our claps. So this is more of a click on at 1.2, 1.4, 2.2, 2.4. So you want them to come in with every second kick, okay, to give that boom ch sort of sound to it. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to pop in another snare as well. Let's have a listen. Cool. Now let's pop in the shaker on every 16th note. So you want to fill every one of these squares on the grid. Okay, use the grid as a guide. You don't have to conform to its parameters, but it's, I think, worth following, using the grid until you become more competent with the program. Okay, and let's just turn the velocity down then by highlighting that entire row, pressing Command and using your cursor to move up or down. Okay, now let's have a listen. Cool. And that sounds not too bad. What we're going to do, and this is something that you're going to need to expand on yourself, is you're going to duplicate that clip, okay, by highlighting it and pressing Command D. So you've got another one directly beneath it, and we're going to change the color of it, which helps us differentiate in session view. Okay, and then we're going to modify this clip by taking the kick drums out of it. Okay, so let's have a listen to this. And then if you bring in the kick, sounds like this. Okay, so you can see the difference having a kick drum in there makes or not. Okay, we're going to duplicate that again, and we might lose the shakers and bring in a few more bongo sounds. Change the velocity on these so that we're getting a bit of variation, so it sounds so it has a human sort of sound. Okay, alright, so let's have a listen. And we might even want to put some kick drums in this. Okay, so turn that up a bit. Just space them out, make them sparse, and you still have that that bassy sound, but not as regularly. Okay, so your job is to duplicate these, take things away from them, add to them, make as many drum clips as you want. Okay, and then our next step will be adding instruments and synthesizers in other MIDI tracks or audio tracks. Okay, and then we will be well on our way to making complete songs. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.